Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics as known classics. This is episode number 1501, episode number 1395. Yeah, I was actually going to do this last night, but it got pretty late. So that's the only reason why, in case you're curious, why I only put out one video yesterday, because of basically how late it was. But now I'm going to discuss something that, for this one, it's technically the last two trades to talk about for this character. Because, here's the thing. Since the series ended, how long ago was the series ended? I'm trying to look and see here. Let's see. How long ago did the series end? It seems like it's been like a long time ago. Like, it started in August 2019, and the final issue came out in June. Yes, the final issue came out in June of last year, after only 10 issues. The reason why the series got canceled is because of COVID. Yep, so, yeah, another series I reviewed where I'm reviewing right now where it was canceled after such a short period of time, roughly 10 issues. Like, wow, 10 issues. Sounds a lot like several other series got canceled last year. Yep. Okay, now this one is basically the first trade for Ghost Spider. The former Spider-Woman. Yes, she now goes by Ghost Spider. That was something established at the end of the previous series. Now, was the series canceled due to low sales? No, it was canceled because of the pandemic. That was the reason for it being canceled. After, like I said, 10 issues. Now, is the debut of a new character in this series? Yes. Yes, there is. They slowly build him up over the course of the series, and they don't do much with him. Which character? Well, they bring in the Jackal. Yep, he's in the series. But here, basically, is the start of a new day. Sean McGuire is still the writer for this series, with the artwork done by, for these Discord trades, first 5 issues, is Dog Days Are Over. This is done by Tashaki Mizawa. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. With Ig Guerrera, who does issue 5, co-does issue 5. The cover is by Jorge Molina. Yep. Now, in the premise of this series, like we have Gwen practicing with Van briefly, and of course Mary Jane upset with her, and of course calling her full name Gwendolyn Maxine Stacy. And then she goes back to Earth 616 to go to college. Yes, Gwen Stacy goes to Empire State University, which for some reason, I'm not really sure why, even though this is not, I don't think this is mentioned in the Amazing Spider-Man. Well, apparently Peter Parker works at Empire State. Maybe he is a teaching assistant, despite like he is a student there. So, yeah, Gwen is basically taking college in Earth 616. I don't think that's much of an issue. No. So yeah, then we cut back to Captain Stacy, who just got out of the hospital due to the fact he had just recovered from a heart attack. Yes, a heart attack. So, of course, you have Peter and Spider-Gwen just take out some rats. Yes, rats. Of course, flying about. And then we have the debut. I think this is the debut of the Earth 65 Miles Warren. Yes. No, actually, no, this is not his first appearance. No, his first appearance was actually in issue 5 for Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not around very long. I'll get to the reason why. So, yeah. Apparently, Jameson... Now, here's the thing. In this world, you have 2 things in common that happen in Earth 616. First being, the Jameson... J. Jonah Jameson is the mayor of New York. Yes, seriously. J. Jonah Jameson, mayor of New York. And second, his son, John Jameson. Not the fact he's his son, but because he's also Man-Wolf. Though what he did as Man-Wolf was different. He did in 616, but still as Man-Wolf. Yep. And despite the fact that, yes, Man-Wolf did commit some crimes in the previous series, apparently Jameson decided to order his release and the charges were dropped. I'm like, really? There were tons of evidence and yet you throw the case out just because you're the frickin' mayor. Yeah, Gwen is reasonably upset breaking the counter, and of course, well, then she goes off and of course kind of like her class, but look how she makes that for her. Yep. Yeah, of course Peter fell in for Kirk Connors, probably because his assistant. Goes home, beats some bad guys up. Oh yeah, does this occasionally where she takes her mask as having been host of the Venom symbiote. And then we have Miles Warren meeting this blonde woman who apparently knows Gwen. Apparently it's another Gwen Stacy, probably a clone of hers. Oh, I like this this dialogue for Jackal's lair. Lair the Jackal could probably use some curtains. Yes, definitely should. Yep, and here's John Jameson. Yep, that's him. That's John Jameson 65. And he's a jerk in this universe. He pushes around Miles Warren. Yeah, by the way, this woman's name is Benji Jones. Despite the fact you say his name was like possibly not Gwen Stacy, being Australian. Yep. Puts on her suit, battles more rats. Deals with the Bodega Bandit. And of course Miles is watching. Of course he is. Yep. This is a kind of a weak story arc. Like, oh yeah, battling rats. Some mild hostages. Not really a lot of big threats here. No, not really. Yep. And then somehow, some way, apparently Miles Warren from Earth 616 goes to 65. Where he finds out, ooh, the woman I like is alive here, except she's a teenager. Yes, Miles Warren, still to this day, since the 70s, has been obsessed with Gwen Stacy. Yes, he looks about, apparently he's been mutated again. Yeah, like he was in the 90s for some reason. And then he's like, oh, Mr. James is currently not available. And he's like, Jameson, this is not a social club. He was looking for Spider. Oh, you mean Spider-Girl. The Ghost Spider. Yeah, that. Forgive me, gentlemen. What is that? You don't know me. But I know you. I know that face. I've known that my whole life. You know me, Miles Warren. You sound familiar, but I remember if we met before. Why I'm more a refined version of the man you see in the mirror. I'm you from another world. Another world. I theorized multiverse, but never expected concrete proof. Another world. And you're green because I'm in science. As am I. Yeah, this is so funny. The fact that the Jackal is interacting with his counterpart Earth 65. I think this was inevitable that this would happen. Miles Warren has been around for a long time. And him interacting with his counterpart from Gwen Stacy's Earth is kind of expected. It's fine. I love it. I think it's kind of funny. And of course, they pal around for a while. They kind of become partners, and of course, well, then he gets introduced to her. Yeah, and of course, we have Miles 165. Huh. So he came here from another world to get a date? Yep, and then he kills Miles Warren 65. Yeah, Earth 65 Miles Warren dies. Gets killed by six of his counterparts. takes briefly Mary Jane Watson hostage, and he gets basically kicked in the gut. And of course, then he says, "I'm a stranger here, so I believe the appropriate quest is take me to your leader." I think it's so hilarious the fact he wants to stay on this earth. Yeah, I got to admit the whole idea of basically Miles Warren meeting this Gwen Stacy. I think this was inevitable. I think a lot of people probably suspect this would happen, and I'm kind of happy it did. Now, as for him killing off his counterpart from that Earth, it's typical Miles Warren. He's killed people before, so it's not unexpected. So I'm gonna give the first trade a 9 out of 10. Next up is the second and last trade for Gwen Stacy as the Ghost Spider. This is Volume 2, Party People! Yep, this is the end of the series. Yep. Now, I.G. Guerrero takes over as main artist for pretty much the rest of the series, with Rossi Kempe as the artist for issue 6. The cover art is done by several people. Issue 6, of course, this book contains issue 6 through 10. We have issue 6 covered out by Greg Land and Frank Damia. Paul Pope and Brian Sinkley, this issue 7. And the remaining 3 issues are done by Tadashi Mozawa and Ian Horing. Yep. Now, apparently we have in issue number 6. Yes, issue 6. Where, get this. Okay. So we have the return. We have apparently in this world the first full appearance of Johnny Storm and Sister Sue. And the way it's implied here, it's almost like these two are sort of in an incestuous relationship. I'm like, really? Really? Sean McGuire, you would say that Johnny Storm is doing it with his own sister. And they say, oh yeah, part of the cast of Fantastic Four. Yeah, his first appearance technically was issue 7 of the second volume for Spider-Gwen. But this was technically his first full appearance, and he appears just in these last 5 issues. Where apparently he was like on the beach with his sister someplace. And he basically got lost, and they found, and 4 years later. Oh yeah, and apparently it's revealed when they come back after apparently been gone for 4 years. You have Gwen showing up basically and helping with the hostage crisis. Of course, well, her father not being very happy to see her because she has basically homework to do, but he'll do it. She'll basically do it. Takes her the hostages. Oh yeah, then finding out about, well, them being still alive. And of course, they find out, oh yeah, they've been gone for 4 years. Now, what have they been doing for 4 years? They basically hung out in Latveria of all places. Yes, Latveria. The home of Doctor Doom. Yes. And then we had this weird, unexpected appearance by the Maker. Yes, the Maker. A.K.A. Evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe. Yes. Who is currently the host of the Venom symbiote from his universe. Yep. Why is he here? Well, from what I read, it was supposed to be something later, but nope, series got canceled. Yep. Yeah, and they do reveal in one of the issues that apparently they kind of killed Doctor Doom of Latveria. So yeah, so there was a Doctor Doom in this Earth, but he's dead. Yeah, he got killed by the Franklin the Storm siblings. Just because they outlived the useless to him. So yes, another character gets killed off in the series. First it's Miles Moore, and then Earth 65. Well, Earth 65 Doctor Doom. Yep. This time be a flashback. So after it's basically tying up loose ends with that. And then she goes back to basically 616 after dealing with the Storm siblings. So in the final issue, she goes back to Earth 65 after basically what happened to Doctor Doom. She goes back to that. And then she gets... Oh, I thought it was here. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, where Peter informs Gwen about Camilla's Law. Yes, for every reader who's read Marvel Comics the last year knows this law is stupid. And this issue, the issue where they first bring this up, this is sort of a behind the scenes mention of this. Yes, seriously. They reference the events of Outlawed. Yeah. And of course, she has to go back home after hearing about this because even she realized, though, this Camilla's Law thing is utter bullcrap. Yes. Oh, and by the way, the agency meant to take them down this cradle. They, as far as I can tell, they don't do much of anything anymore. Yeah, the most recent appearance was actually issue 7 of Champions. Mm-hmm. Of course, that was a few months ago. Yes. But in the case of the whole outlaw thing, it is by far one of the dumbest ideas that somebody at Marvel thought this was a good idea to do. Mm-hmm. Yes, somebody at Marvel thought it was a good idea to do this outlawed event. And it's considered to be, of recent memory, one of the most hated story ideas in the last several years. I mean, the whole thing of basically, it's kind of like anti-teenage superhero thing. Which, somebody at Marvel must have thought a good idea to copy the idea of Robin War, except with that one, it focused on Robins instead of teenage superheroes. With that one, it's like, yeah, where it was almost kind of like racial profiling the way it was displayed in that book, because Duke Thomas was arrested for wearing red shoes. That's how stupid it got. This book, this whole thing with Outlawed is so dumb. And as far as I can tell, it is over. Yes. Yeah, as far as I can tell, it's over. It is no longer... I mean, here's the thing. There were 2 ongoing series tied into this particular event. One actually ended not long after it concluded. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, they ended the Magnificent Miss Marvel series because of this nonsense. Yeah, that series ended because of this bullcrap stupid crossover. Miles Morales is barely surviving even with the Clone Saga stuff. In the case of Champions, where it seems like a lot of the main story is taking place, It's kind of doing its own thing now, but yeah, rant over when it comes to, well, stuff related to Outlawed. Still, the stupidest ever idea for a crossover, for a event per se, even I don't really count it as much. Because they don't tie in with each other, they just do their own self-contained storylines. It's basically a mild imprint that basically was just established. And thank God we got rid of this stupid event, because as far as I know, I've never heard anybody ever mention how good it was. Heck, there was going to be a release of a miniseries for New Warriors where, like, there were 4 new members that had the stupidest names: Snowflake, Safe Space, Screen Time, and Bay Negative. There's even a new character called Trailblazer. If you can focus on New Warriors, fine. If you get new characters, fine. But don't. These character names are so stupid. But in the case of Ghost Spider, it's a good series. It's not terrible per se. It's just that couldn't live up to potential because of the pandemic. Could I see her getting an ongoing series? Yes, I could definitely see so. There's still plenty of story you could do right now. You could basically follow with the maker. I mean, here's a question like to ponder. Can you think of any canceled comic book that ended last year? Has there any kind of resolution ever done in any comic book published since then? The answer is no. I haven't heard of any. But in the case of Party People, 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on Gwen Stacy with the whole thing of her having an ongoing series, the final book. It's a good book, definitely. I felt as though with this book, it was improvement over Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider. I mean, if you think about it, you got the Earth reintroduction to about a few new characters: Miles Warren, Doctor Doom, Sue Richards, and Franklin Richards. But the way the artwork depicted their relationship, the fact that these are two clearly are siblings, it was very heavily implied by the artwork that these two were in an incestuous relation, even though they weren't. They clearly were not. But by the artwork basically displaying it, it was implying that they were. I mean, Sean McGuire never said anything about these two being in a sexual relationship. No. Because here's the thing about it. Okay, he's never said anything about this at all. He said that basically there was plans for the maker to do some more with him. But in the case of okay, so the reason why with the maker was because apparently Sean McGuire is a woman. I didn't know that. I had no idea. And apparently she is a decade older than I am. Yes, this writer is roughly 43. Yeah. So, if I get a chance to meet her, I'll probably like, you're like 10 years, I read how old you are. Yep. But, still a good series. Okay, so that's it for Cycle of You. Stay tuned for some Battlefield for J and possibly a comic quiz. I really want to get some more trades now. Okay, next video. Bye.